What's up, everybody? Thanks for joining us for another episode of Double Tech. It's your boy Dave here with my co-host Q.
What's up? What's going on?
What's good, man? All right, so this is our first look at the playoff picture after the All-Star break. It's been a little while now, a couple weeks in the mix, and we're seeing less than 20 games here remain. And the contenders are starting to separate themselves, and we have a couple surprises. Today, NBA released their power rankings, and one of the top 5 teams is the Boston Celtics, who have been the hottest team in basketball since the calendar year began in 2022, since January. What are your thoughts on Boston and how they're looking?
Honestly, I think we're getting what was missing from Boston. I mean, right now they're in the last 10, they're 8-2, and they weren't an easy 8, right? These are a lot of good teams they're playing and they're beating and they're winning in clutch moments. But it's coming on the defensive side of the ball. I mean, I said this before that rebounding and paint defense has kind of been a heel for them. You don't really have many studs out there to get the job done, and the addition of Al Horford is starting to finally pay off. He obviously is the top defender at center, but he's more than what they had and kind of all they needed, right? They didn't really need to have Rudy Gobert down there. They just we need somebody to get in the way, because I mean, Daniel Tice isn't it. He is not it.
And Robert Williams wasn't it either.
Exactly. So now when you have those perimeter lockdown pieces that they do have in Tatum, Marcus Smart, Jaylen Brown, you're getting a lot more from it now, because it was cool. You can defend the 3, but when you play a game that long, they can just keep scoring in the paint, getting their own rebounds, and then they're still typing it out for the 3. Can't win games that way. And we're seeing something much better. And I think it is starting there at the center position with Al Horford.
Yeah, I mean, I have to agree with that. Al Horford's impact has been huge. I mean, it was one of the first moves Brad Stevens made when he got sent up to the front office and, removed from the coaching spot, but still in the Celtics organization. They ended up flipping Kemba for him. And he's been there before. He knows the terminology. He knows what we're trying to do. And I can see him being a favorite of Udoka immediately, because you have that old, reliable, wily vet that can get everybody engaged and know what's going on. I mean, for 35 years old, Horford is balling. You can get 25, 30 legit minutes out of him a night, and it's an incredible play that we're seeing from him. I think this is the first time we're seeing Boston fully healthy this season. That trade for Derek White from San Antonio, it's rare, first of all, for Popovich to be trading in the regular season anyway. But when he's trading one of his players who's a starter, that's kind of a favor moment. And that's what it felt like with Derek White. Maybe he's not in our plans, but I want to send him to a good situation. And landing in Boston to play with Marcus Smart, I really love that backcourt defensively. I'm just questioning offensively, if we don't see the same Jaylen Brown that we've seen last year and the year before, can Tatum carry alone? Because being a traveling defensive team is going to work in the regular season like we've seen. Teams are not preparing for you nightly. They're not thinking about having to beat you 4 out of 7 times and preparing for you in a series. And I think when the Celtics have to face that type of coaching adjustment and that type of adjustment from the other teams, it's going to be interesting to see who picks up the slack offensively.
Well, I think the biggest thing is, we're talking playoff race, right? So, I mean, I'm not going to give kind of a big hit on if they're going to win a ship or not. And I'm glad you brought up Derek White, because that has been a pivotal piece. And seeing a guy like Derek White, who kind of came from he was balling in San Antonio, but it was like a role he had there. He's looking like the point guard, like he's a starter in the NBA, and he deserves to be there. The way he's taking shots, he's playing defense. But I mean, for the Celtics, this is all good, though. They're running away from the play-in game, which they were just in not too long ago. They were, getting ahead of Cleveland, huge. They're on Chicago's heels right now. The better the seed, it's good for them. A lot of teams like Brooklyn, when they get fully healthy, if they get Kyrie back all those games, a little play-in action isn't going to kill them. A team like Boston needs that seeding right now. They need fortunate things to happen for them to make a run. They need, maybe Brooklyn does play in a play-in, and then you either you can get Milwaukee, Philly, or Brooklyn out early. That's an ideal situation for them. I see them, they can go in the playoffs and play against Chicago. They could play against Miami. Nothing in those teams just makes me go, whoa, this is crazy. Regular season is cute, but they can play those guys and pull out a 6-game series and give you something. And as far as Tatum, I mean, the last 3 games we've seen him without Jaylen Brown from the sprained ankle.
Mm-hmm. Right.
First game was about a 30-something. Last one was a 56 piece, and they weren't bad shots. And that's kind of more what I like to see from Jason Tatum. He's not forcing jump shots as much as he's attacking the paint. He's getting it on all sides on offense, but it's not like they're purposely running it through him. The addition of Derek White on the court, obviously with Jaylen Brown, it's even better, we've seen. But the addition of White on the court, another man who can create offense on his own and facilitate, it's working well for him and Brown. People, you can't just pull your guys anymore. And I mean, they've had the point guard's been an issue for them for many years, which is weird. Based on who they had, it's real weird to say, right? But the point guard position has been a hole. Marcus Smart is not a point guard. You know, like Kyrie Irving, unhappy situation. We all know how that went.
And he's probably not a point guard either.
Yeah. Kemba Walker, you know, I hate to say it, but, you know, to play 82 games, he plays about 70 of them is a shell of himself. And then about, you know, the other 12, you'll get like a big game, but he plays real passive when there's other talent around him. He plays really well when it's just him. So it's just a change. And, you know, I do want to bring up, we now see Milwaukee crawling out of the hole from injuries early in the season, pushing up at number 3 now. A lot of teams that we were looking at, Cleveland, Chicago, you know, also Chicago based falling off on injuries, but they're starting to go down the list now. Brooklyn down the list. Charlotte coming up. It's going to be interesting in the East to see where these chips fall, because for a lot of the teams, seeding is going to be huge.
Seeding is really huge, and especially for a team like Boston, where you need to take advantage of the lack of depth in the other teams, right? Like their matchup ideally is going to be Cleveland or Chicago. You don't want to play Milwaukee, the Heat, or the Sixers if you don't have to. That's the second round that you're happy about. With the addition of Derek White, what I really like is, although they've struggled with point guard throughout this tenure, you know, of Stevens even being there, it's like they finally committed to the identity that we don't need a point guard, really. We just need 2 combo guards. We need 2 guys that can do a little something, but really D is the focus. And since they've committed to their identity now, it seems like that's when they've really started to take off, like playing through Tatum and allowing him to be aggressive. And I think the major change that we're seeing in his game is not only is he being more aggressive, but Jason Tatum is now finally getting all those calls. In his 56-point game, that's 17 from the free throw line. That wasn't happening for him before, even when he was aggressive. So then later in the game, he would start checking out because they're not giving me the call anyway. I might as well see what I can do from the 3. I might as well get my teammates involved. We might as well run the offense. Now, if I know that I can go get my bucket and it's going to be rewarded consistently, well, then that makes them pretty dangerous.
And he's coming in with moves. He's coming in, and it's not like he's looking for the contact either now. He's coming in, putting it on, putting the body on folks. And he's causing them to either have to foul me or I'm coming. That's what you need from a guy his size with his speed. You got to bring it to him and understand you're just not going to get him sometime. But it's 4 quarters of basketball that you got to play. And, you know,
and he's going to show up. I mean, we haven't had any, like, he used to have this second half disappearing act in the 3rd quarter, and then he would reemerge in the 4th. Right. And then so they would kind of trail in the 3rd. And then it's like, okay, now Boston has to come back towards the end of the game. Tatum has been much more consistent coming out of halftime, coming out of the break, getting ready. And I think that is directly linked to Udoka. And now with the Celtics, you probably have to put them above Chicago, above Cleveland, and what they can do in the playoff picture. So they're probably the 4th team now.
Yeah.
To be honest.
I think by the time we get out of this, they are going to creep up to the 4th spot. They're going to creep up to that 4th seed. I don't see Milwaukee falling. I see it only getting better. And I just don't think there's enough time for Miami to drop below 3. They're getting people back. And they're still
they're getting people. They've been winning without Lowry. You know, they're adding Oladipo tonight. There's a lot of changes that we're seeing in Miami that's only going to lead to more positive basketball. So for a team like Cleveland, for a team like Chicago, who has been scratching and clawing to maintain this position, they're relying on, hey, DeRozan, you got to go be Wilt Chamberlain. And Mobley, we need you to be Rookie of the Year just to even stay alive. It shows like the great parity that we see in the East now that we used to see in the West all the time. And it's really exciting. This is exactly what we wanted after LeBron left.
And so we can agree right now. I mean, that 4th seed is the most important seed right now in the East. The number
Absolutely.
4 right now
Yeah.
is the most important seed in the East because, like we said, there's just those top 3. Even Miami, I don't know. Miami has such a deep roster. It's like nobody's just that great and individually amazing on their team, but they're so deep. They could play a 10-man playoff roster.
Yeah,
and have success, and they're going to run you out. And to do that 7 game straight is going to be tough. So I will put them in the mix with Philly and Milwaukee. Philly's been clicking with James Harden, and it's only going to get better. Do I see them winning the ship? Maybe not, but I don't want to play them round 1.
I don't want to play them round 2.
Yeah.
I see Philly right now at all.
You see what I'm saying? So that 4 spot puts you in where your only real threat is Brooklyn, and that's dependent on where they are with Kyrie Irving and if he can play all the games, the home games and away games. It's something about him and Kevin Durant, man. It's like they don't even need to play. They don't need to practice. I ain't never seen people just leave the game, be out of games, and just come back, and they just score so effortlessly. Like, it's like it never left. So
they got an on and off switch, bro. It's like weird. When you get hurt in 2K, he come back. Like, you don't need to. What?
Yeah, like in the time KD's first game back, he was out for a little bit with that injury, and he put up the easiest 30, and it was like nothing. They lost, unfortunately. They're figuring things out, and they didn't lose on his back. They lost because LaMarcus Aldridge just having a hard time in the paint. They couldn't defend the paint that game.
I will say also, though, there was a lot of expectation, and especially you saw from after the game where analysts were discussing, like, man, KD, you got to check Tatum there. This is his first game back from injury.
Yeah, I'm not.
He's been out for 2 months. I'm not asking him to check Tatum
at that time, a 9-1, 8-2 Celtics team, and the hottest Jason Tatum of the season that right now, where I feel like he's playing with chip on his shoulder. Jaylen Brown goes down. People are already doubting him. And I respect the fact that he just went and said, I'm going to go get Jaylen's points too for us. Because Jaylen has been consistently 25 also, playing great defense. It's just, with both of them on the court, it does provide that resting option that we only need 30. You don't want him pitting up 50 a night with 20 games left. You're going to run him down before the playoffs. Yeah, you don't want 50 a night with 20. It looks good on TV, but boy, he wakes up in the morning, man, he can do them stretches.
Feeling it.
So,
Feeling it.
With that being said, in the West right now, who's surprising you as far as where you think they're going to land and, kind of where they're sitting right now?
Well, to be honest, one of the most interesting and pivotal matchups that I'm seeing in the West is the possibility of the Golden State versus Denver first round. Mm-hmm. And that it could be terrible for Golden State. That is the worst matchup that you can catch, especially if they're entering Murray and Michael Porter Jr. back into the fray.
Yes.
If they had those 2 guys going into the playoffs, even off of just a little bit of practice time, even off of the final 10 games, they already can't hold Jokic. And that's the game that we're going to see tonight. Mm-hmm. If the expectation is Looney is going to guard him for a series, it's a wrap. So Draymond can't return quickly enough for the Warriors. And it is it's interesting to see how they have dropped so significantly after the fall of Draymond, and like people are surprised about that fact. Like, no, this is the exact same team as last year when they were 9th seed and didn't, weren't making it because it's just too reliant on Curry. So yes, it was exciting at the beginning of the season. Curry is balling out. Curry's breaking the records. Curry's going for the all-time. But they were playing sloppy basketball, and now
they were winning though. Then too,
they were winning
also.
And so it's like reintegrating Clay back into this lineup. That has been a struggle in terms of, okay, is he going to be the dynamic defender that we expected to see? Mm-hmm. Not yet. Wiggins was playing ultra aggressive. Clay comes back. Now he's back. See, like, what does he do now? What is he on?
I think I wanted to point that out too, that I think that's starting. I want to know what we're seeing from the Warriors. I mean, they're 2-8 right now in the last 10 games. They're on a 4-game skid. But are we seeing like classic Greg Popovich, let me test out my chips? Or are they really collapsing, right? Because you know where you are. You're making the playoffs at this point. But you have to get Clay back to the confidence and the play that he once had. You got to get his legs under him. So do you say I mean, looking at the West, I'm gonna be honest with you. You stay in the top four, probably all right. You're gonna be all right first round right now. I mean, I just don't have faith in Dallas. I'm gonna say it out loud to everybody. I don't have
Oh,
much
see,
faith
but I
in
do have
Dallas.
faith in Kid.
And then and it's not Kid, it's not the coaching. I think even in the last 2 seasons, it has not been the coaching in Dallas that's the issue. It's just that it's Luka heavy until it's not. And when things start to go south, Luka does a little too much. He wants to put it all on him, which I get, you're the star, but the rest of their guys seem to tend to fall off when it matters. And I mean, how many leads have we seen them blow? Like, they can't finish series, and it's been a real complication for them. So I just don't see them. You're looking at teams in the top four, all except for I mean, obviously Memphis and Utah are kind of new in there, but Memphis is a playoff team, and they've always been I know there's some new guys out there, but the culture there, man, Memphis know what the playoffs look like.
Memphis is built and ready. There is no way
Yeah,
Ja loses in the first round.
exactly. You look at
There's
Memphis, and then Utah. Let's just be honest here. Utah versus Dallas last season really was just Mitchell going down.
Right. And with that Porzingis trade too, now you got yourself in a situation where we're relying on who? Boban and Dwight Powell to try to hold like Rudy and the rest of the, Donovan.
So if you're Golden State, why not give some time? I think they know how to play together. The guys that were out there prior to Clay, they know how to play together. And then also, like you said, I think, we're seeing why Draymond Green makes as much money as he does. A lot of people weren't happy about it. But if you watch basketball, you know how important he is to that team. And, he's not going to win MVP like Stephen Curry would, but his role is that pivotal that it does change the game for them. Come the playoffs,
the Warriors would not be a multi-time champion without him. I know they had Kevin Durant.
And come the playoffs, I wholeheartedly agree that if Draymond Green is back, they got Denver in 5.
Yeah. Oh, easy.
It's too much playoff experience out there for those guys.
With healthy Golden State, and I said this preseason, the only real fear is that they got a different version of the Lakers than when we're seeing, because we're not even going to discuss the Lakers in this playoff picture, right? And then Phoenix. So with what Phoenix has implemented in terms of bringing in McGee, bringing in Biyombo, finding a way to add, man, I was watching them play the
Phoenix
Bucks.
Could be a problem.
And they played without Chris Paul and Devin Booker. And it was a tight game all the way with Milwaukee. But I was truly impressed by how they played the exact same way.
Yes.
The exact same way.
The scheme doesn't change.
None of it. And I was a little bit hesitant on their trades. Previously, I've said, I thought it was a huge mistake that they didn't go after more bench scoring at the trade deadline. I thought that Eric Gordon would definitely be somebody that is, could put them over the hump. Instead, they decided to go with the Torrey Craig and Aaron Holiday additions. When I was watching Torrey Craig, whatever they're listing him at is not right. That man's 6'9", 6'10", easy, bro.
He said, I'm not buying what you're saying.
No, I'm not buying whatever lies that they're telling on his listing, because his length was serious. He was putting Bobby in tough situations where he couldn't even get a shot off on floaters. He couldn't even get the spin hook off.
And with Phoenix, though, I see the issue. It's like their rise and fall, right? Is that, they're well coached, and no matter who's on the floor, like you said, the style doesn't change. But in the playoffs, that almost becomes detrimental to Devin Booker, right?
Yeah.
Because Devin Booker likes to disappear in the big ones. We all know it. We've all seen it when it's time to really be there. But, same time, it's not the game plan, right?
Or, I mean, look at the finals where he had the emptiest 40. Like, look, you had one of them. Remember when the Thunder played the Heat and Westbrook was getting 40, but it was that empty 40. Like, that's how it felt, seeing it from Devin Booker, where it wasn't tilting the game in any favor. It wasn't changing momentum. It was just keeping you above water. And so it's going to be, how can they defend that when you're talking about we have to outshoot a healthy Warriors squad?
And honestly, what they may be doing with this team game now, it may be just accounting for the fact that they know Devin Booker's not going to get it all the way done on his own. When I say that, I don't mean like he won't get his buckets, but when the game gets tight, it might be more beneficial for us to stay with the team ball plan, move it around, less ISO Booker. This may not be in his game. He might not have that, that dog in him like we thought he had. He's still an amazing player. And I mean, he's a 40 any night, right? But like you said, sometimes they're not like, they're not game changers. It's not meaningful buckets. But also agree that, with the defense they're playing and the bigs they have, they get a lot of fast break opportunities. And that's where he gets a lot of his off too. So, the team ball, if you looked at the Golden State Warriors when they were winning ships, a lot of that was defense turned fast breaks and they were making it rain. So if Phoenix can do that, it'll be good for them. But I think it is very important that they maintain that 1 seed, which I don't see anybody coming for it.
And I think Phoenix realized last year that, they got where they got because of the injuries. All right, let's be honest here.
Let's be honest.
Everyone that they played went down. I mean, so because of that, they're aware we need to be the healthiest roster or able to withstand injury the best.
Because let's be honest here, if you got Chris Paul, don't expect him to be there.
Don't expect him to be there.
Don't expect him to be there if you make it to the finals again. I'm coaching it like campaigns already. He's already starting in my eyes.
From that perspective, then all of their moves make sense. Like, of course, you would get an additional point guard in there, Holiday there, because I can't bank on Chris Paul being there at all.
Many of team has failed on that. Look at the Clippers. The Clippers should have at least 2 chips. That Clippers with Blake Griffin, DeAndre Jordan. I mean, they were giving the Warriors hell, the good Warriors. Who goes down? First Chris Paul, then Blake Griffin plays point guard one game. You remember that? And then ends up stealing one in Golden State, and then Blake Griffin goes down, right?
Yep.
And then they lose it. So I just can't, I just don't have the faith that Chris Paul is going to be there come finals if they make it. But I don't see a team in the West besides Memphis playing consistent enough at this day that I think will take them in 7 games, because that's the thing of 7 games is lasting. It's persevering through 7 and not being broken by a loss or an adjustment. And I think, like you said, the way Phoenix plays is they don't break the plan. They're not going to break the mold. They're going to play their basketball. We've yet to see the Golden State final map, what it's going to look like at the end. I think Steve Kerr's taking one out of Greg Popovich's book, man. See,
that makes sense to me. Yeah, I can see that too. And then looking at, why would you show your hand? Why would I show my cards? Because the teams are so differently built. Like when I look at the other teams after Phoenix and Golden State, right? You have Utah that could go all the way with incredible performance from Donovan, which he's done in the playoffs before. That's not surprising if you were to
lose out on the offensive Gobert. So that's the problem.
Right. And then there's Gobert having to make up for the defensive deficiencies that the rest of the team had. You got Royce O'Neal as your best perimeter defender. Bogdanovich and Ingles, they ship Ingles out of here because, hey, we just know that you can't do it for us this year. And on that side of the ball, not because he can't create and play make. They're looking at the lack of the bigs with Dallas. It's like after the 2 top teams, there's really only Memphis. And then for Memphis to do it, you would need a performance similar to what we saw from MVP Rose with Thibodeau, where the only reason he was taken down is because he got one-on-one by LeBron, right? Or Dwayne Wade when he won his championship with Shaquille O'Neal, where it was all on his back. Like that type of performance is possible from Ja Morant. And he's probably the guy that he just recently scored his first 50-point game. I swear to you, I thought he had more already. Like there was no way I thought that was his first one ever.
But I always looked at it like this with Ja Morant is he's not a heavy 3-point shooter.
True. Yes.
So he's getting a lot of them at the rim and he's getting a lot of them shooting mid ranges, which is really good. It works for the team because he's a point guard and he's distributing the ball. So when you're not, coming out shooting threes, at least 7 or 8, you're not going to really put up too many 50 balls, right? It's going to be hard. That's a lot. Imagine scoring 50-point all twos. That's probably a loss. Just being honest.
Yeah,
that's a loss most times to not have at least 4 3-point made. And if you took 50, you got 50. That means a lot of other people didn't get to shoot threes either. So that's probably a loss. So I think he's in the zone right now, and I think he just wants it more than a lot of people. When I want to talk about, my sleeper too right now is the one people got to watch out for, play in and beyond first round. I think it ain't gonna go past it, but the Los Angeles Clippers, they're out here beating tough teams right now. It's weird.
That's Ty Lue.
Yeah, it's weird, man. And they're broken down right now. And I think the loss of the stars, it's not made them better. You're not gonna get better losing the star. but they've learned to play without him and as a team. And I think with Kawhi and PG out there together, it's too slow. Like you got too much slow down for this guy going on, especially with Kawhi on the floor.
Let's be honest, it's Kawhi.
Yeah, I think it's Kawhi, and I think looking into the future, they may have to decide on one of them.
And from that perspective, I mean, we saw what Paul George can do as a primary ball handler in the playoffs. He can take you about as close as you can get.
Yeah.
Like, if it was in that decision, I don't know if Ty Lue's coaching style is going to be.
Because you're not selling me on Kawhi. He's landed in spots the same way that we talk about the LeBrons or the KDs. Even in Toronto, he landed into a great situation. That should have been DeMar DeRozan's ring. They put pieces around Kawhi. They spent on DeMar DeRozan's time and dime to put something together. And when
I
it was
remember
finally
DeRozan
good,
DeMar Gasol.
When it was finally just good enough and healthy, that's the big thing, healthy. Because, they always had somebody go down, Valanciunas. It was always a big piece. And when they were playing against whatever team LeBron was on, somebody they really needed went down. They get it healthy. They get, they figure out a roster. Now you ship them out, right? And then you go get one with Kawhi, who really didn't do anything that I haven't seen DeMar DeRozan do for them in the playoffs and in the regular season. But the team was ready to go. So not to mention, what are the odds Golden State loses their entire roster? Because if Golden State's healthy, it's a blowout. I don't care who the hell would have been there. It's a blowout.
Yeah. Toronto would have lost. Absolutely.
So, and I feel like that overhypes Kawhi's point that everybody's like, oh, yeah, but you got to have him at PG. Get rid of him. And the man complains more than he plays.
For Kawhi,
he's a champion. He's an NBA champion, multi-time. You're going to get for him, honestly, you're going to get top.
Top-tier talent.
Top tier picks even. If I'm the Clippers, I'm looking more for picks right now. They got to build up. You got Paul George for some more years. You got some good guys around. They need to figure out who's ludicrous next guy.
To say, but if I'm the Clippers, I'm trying to find whatever package possible to get Zion and Ty Lue, man. Because if there's one person that I believe can get Zion's hair right, it's Ty Lue.
I mean, that's a possibility. You could even get him in the pack. I think with the injuries and the weight, you might be able to get Zion with a couple of picks. The Pelicans got him.
Right. And then where does that put the Pelicans? Now you have Kawhi, Brandon Ingram, McCollum. They're a championship build roster too.
Exactly. And obviously something ain't right in New Orleans for Zion. So, that's kind of where it sits. And I'm telling you, the way the Clippers are playing, I wouldn't want to see them first round. Beyond.
So do you think the Clippers upset any of the teams in the first round as you bring that up?
Golden State, depending on what we're looking at. Do you get Draymond Green back? Are you looking at your complete roster? Draymond Green isn't back. I could clearly see them coming in there and pulling off like a 7-game series upset. Also, Utah.
I was going to mention that one too. Yeah.
Utah, they're Donovan Mitchell reliant, which at one point last season, I think they were the best 3-point shooting team in the league. They own the 3-point line, but something about the playoffs, they're not built for it. Clippers are ready though. They've been there. They know what it looks like. They've won there. They've played big games. I mean, they've been down to a 3 to go to the conference championship. And, somebody got the light shout out. Or, there's a lot of different things that you've seen from them. But I don't see them overcoming Memphis because Memphis plays like they play, right? Memphis just gritty. And the Clippers are just playing gritty basketball right now. So I don't think they're going to outgrit Memphis. I don't think they have the facilities to do something about that boy Ja.
Nothing to do about Ja, and really nothing to do with Phoenix either.
No, not
truly
no.
So, but the Clippers, I definitely could see that upset. I mean, they catch Dallas, I definitely think
they got their number. They got Dallas' number. Look, no matter who on the court.
I'm telling you, I don't think Dinwiddie surviving the Ty Lue, because he's gonna make him do what he doesn't want to do. He's gonna make you have to work with that left hand. And when Spencer Dinwiddie got to go too much into that left hand, it's turnover city. Luka's hitting the double. I think
it's safe to say that people, I think we talk about what Luka does, but it's safe to say teams are very put up 40 and
let him do his thing, and then we'll live with it. We just need to contain the rest.
And mind you, majority of his points aren't coming from behind the 3-point line either, so it's not like he's eating you up. Those 40 are hard fought 40. Everybody else though, they got 5, 6. Yeah, go ahead. That's why Porzingis wanted out anyway. He knew it.
So
He knew it.
He knew what it was going to be for him, and the pressure was too much for him. Like, not saying that he couldn't handle it, but it was just like, what you're asking me didn't make sense. Like, you want me to cover down for 3 poor defenders plus put up 30 every night?
Well, and then that's the weird part is they want him to put up 30, but he wasn't in the game plan, and that's what he said. They were like, just go out there and find your 30. But he expressed an issue that they were not drawing any plays up for him. They weren't putting him in position to succeed. It was just like, no, bro, we just expect you to get 20 boards and put them all back. 20 offensive rebounds, put it back. If you're not going to have Porzingis and draw him into the offensive game plan, why do you have Porzingis?
Right. And I'm glad to see him out of there now.
Yes. And so I think he saw this. I don't think they became a better team by getting rid of Porzingis. As a coach, I think Kid had to do a better job of getting him involved. And, you know, if you want to win in the playoffs, you have to spend the regular season getting somebody else ready, not still riding the Luka train. I love what Luka does, and I love that he can get these buckets. But the Dallas Mavericks and the issues they've had on the collapse of the role players is an issue.
And this is all a setup for next year. I mean, getting rid of KP now was, okay, we have new plans for next year. Adding Dinwiddie as a piece. You're probably not bringing Brunson back now, so maybe you can flip him in a sign and trade to add some more talent. They're preparing for setting the culture, and really it's about the Jason Kidd and Luka relationship this year.
Yes.
That's the most important thing for them. Yes. But
that's why I think KP had those issues. It's all been about, and that's what he said, it's been about the relationship of Luka and everybody else. And so you might be right.
And that's why I think puts him out. So really for me, I think that the real contenders in the West, the real contenders are Memphis, Phoenix, Golden State. In the East, I'm pretty much, you know, I'm questioning Brooklyn. I don't have anything for Brooklyn until we see what they're looking for.
It's consistent. It's weird.
So it's the Bucks, the Heat, and Philly. And those are really my 6 teams that I think are clear cut ahead of everyone else in the NBA right now. And I don't think I can put Boston in
Not
that
yet. We're picking the teams that have been consistent. We have to really point out the fact that the 76ers have been without who was their second best player the entire season and are the 2 seed.
That's incredible.
We have to say that. We had to I have to say that. And they are the 2 seed. You know, we talk about the MVP race. I'm not going to go too deep into it, but everybody's trying to say, who is it, him or Jokic? You're looking at Denver as a 6. They did lose Michael Porter Jr., and that's cool. But like, who on Philly without Ben Simmons besides Joel Embiid is much better talent than anybody left in Denver? And Denver's not playing against the stacked hard West right now. You got 2 guys down in LA. You got always 2 guys down in the other part of LA. You got it's not really.
Yeah, you're getting games against the Kings. You're getting games against, Minnesota.
And so I have to say that, again, the winning and the meaningfulness of the way you play the game, you're getting triple doubles, but some about Embiid's defense is keeping his team afloat too. Maxi's getting his thing going. So, Philly's more consistent. We're weird. We're talking about who it is, but we're sitting here saying Philly 1 through 3 lock. You know what they're gonna look like. We're not saying that about Denver with Jokic.
No, and I cannot. And the reason why I cannot is because you want to be flashy, high post, big man. But can you expend all of that energy being point center and then actually play center on defense? We haven't seen that over long stretches. We've seen that in spurts. We've seen that in matchups. He was making Sabonis work. You're not getting Sabonis every night though.
Nope. Not at all.
And when you have to do that against Ayton and Ayton with a supporting cast, that becomes very difficult. And going to your point about the talent differential, you have Aaron Gordon. I know that there's this Tobias Harris is better than Aaron Gordon, but how much? How much better?
Yeah, come on. Tobias Harris knows he is mediocre average. He's accepted that. That's why when they bring in talent, you don't see no complaint from Tobias Harris about no touches. He knows he just doesn't have that thing, and he knows that. He is Aaron Gordon, he gets a couple more shots, but he also gets to play a different game because his big man's doing what he's supposed to be doing. Like you said, point center. I can't have my big out there in my corner all the time. I'm trying to set up for a 3 too.
Right. And so now I'm asking Aaron Gordon to D up. Now I'm asking JaMychal Green to really be my center. And that stuff gets old for these smaller guys. And it gets old for the rest of the team. Because one thing that I've seen from the leadership style that is different between Embiid and Jokic is that Embiid's going to talk cash shit. And he's going to tell Maxey, hey, you suck. You're playing like trash. I need you to show up. Jokic is not.
It's all from love, too. It's all from love. If you don't know nothing
I have seen developments in the players that he play with's game. Jokic makes everyone better around him because of stats, I guess. But are they better at basketball after playing with Jokic? Not really.
No.
I haven't seen this leap in Monty Morris. Like
guys who should be playing at a high level.
Yeah, the guys are playing, pretty average, and it's fine. I understand you want me to think.
Imagine coming to the NBA as a point guard just to learn you're going to be playing off ball.
Oh man, if I'm Compazzo, I'm heated.
You're not getting any better. And that's what we talk about. You're not building for a playoff run. Your point guard doesn't even get to play point guard. So when you're going to ask him to, and that's what happens in the playoffs. You're going to ask him to do it. And when he doesn't do it, you're going to be disappointed and they're going to shit on him. They're going to talk about him. And it's like Dennis Schroeder with the Lakers last year. They spent an entire season with LeBron at point guard. Dennis Schroeder took the back seat. Playoffs come. Everybody wants 50 from Dennis Schroeder, right? But if you really look at it, Dennis Schroeder in that Phoenix series was arguably the best player we had. I'm not talking about LeBron's empty 36 that he had when the games be over and all that. Dennis Schroeder's playing full court lockdown defense, putting it on him. He was getting his buckets. He was doing what truly should have been expected on him on a team that looks like that, right? And y'all didn't let him play point guard all year. But when they call your number and you don't perform in the playoffs, you're going to be to blame. And that's what's going to happen to their point guards. Because even say when Murray comes back, the game plan isn't going to change. You've played.
It'll be the exact same thing. It'll just be asking you to pull. So now Murray go get 50 off of Jokic passes. Okay, that's great. But again, you're answering like, am I asking Jamal Murray to be a point guard? No, I'm not. And that's okay. He knows what he's there to do. He's on some Curry shit.
Yeah.
But when it's a lesser talents or players that need to develop in other areas so that we can take some pressure off of Jokic, it's like Denver has refused to do that thus far.
Like imagine, if they line up against Utah and Rudy Gobert's out there, Rudy Gobert isn't giving up the 40 spot.
No.
And now you gotta ask other players to do something they haven't been asked to do. So how do you combat that?
And that's why I have to put Denver outside, even with the return of their top players, because again, we don't know yet. So Denver and Brooklyn, very interesting, but I think they're just outside.
Yes,
the conversation.
I was going to say that they're right now. Denver is 3 games ahead of 7, so 3 games out from a play-in right now. There's a good chance Jokic put up a 50-point triple-double, a 40-point triple-double,
40-point triple-double. Yep,
barely won a game.
Scratching and clawing for these
scratching and clawing. So that doesn't really give me much hype that they're not going to be playing in a playoff game. A playing game, my bad, a playing game.
Yeah, in the playing game, they're probably going to have to fight for their lives in another one just to squeak in, and then you get rewarded with Memphis Grizzlies, Phoenix Suns. Like that's tough. So,
and then I also want to point out that I think everybody in the West, and this would just be me, and this is out of respect for who the man is. If we're playing the Los Angeles Lakers, we're playing them like it's the finals every game.
Absolutely.
Because any chance you have to push LeBron James out of the playoff race completely, not, playing game, you want to get him completely out. It was San Antonio and Portland, 3 games back. OKC, 4 games back. It's not impossible. We're not playing that well. Anthony Davis folds up like a sheet of paper. So even if he comes back for a couple of games, we'll probably lose him again. You have 20 games to do something crazy. And now the whole championship picture's blown up because I don't care what anybody says. If LA does go into the playoffs healthy, you still do have LeBron James and Anthony Davis. That means something. They're a problem.
They're a problem. Just as much as everyone is talking about how we shouldn't worry about Brooklyn losing 17 out of their last 20 because of what they're going to be, that is the exact same thing.
It's like, they're struggling, but do I want to see that they come back all together? Do I want to see that?
I don't want to play
to
them in
get
a one-game
dangerous.
play-in. I don't want to host them off of what if they go on a 10-game winning streak to end the season and get hot. These are the type of things that are like, people think that, oh, the Lakers look bad, there's no way for them to get hot. Do you know who's on their team? You know what I mean? It would be
Yeah.
nothing for Westbrook to turn into an entirely different player for
What did
10
he do
games.
for Washington last year?
Exactly. To carry them at the end.
And they haven't played many games with the complete unit. They have like 5-game spurts. First, LeBron went down, then AD went down. And I think Bron went down for a short period of time again. AD goes down with him. Then we get AD back, we get Bron back for a game. AD goes down first quarter. Now we're waiting on AD to come back. But these are talented guys. Like we said about KD and Kyrie Irving. They don't need bounce back games. They need like 2 games to like get in the mix, but they're still better than you are. Like they're still better than you are. And you know that's going to be a problem if they get in there. Those are, well, let me change this. LeBron James and Russell Westbrook are competitors. And you're talking playoffs.
Fierce.
They need to get it fierce. They're not going to be okay with, like, even if they're not shooting a 3 good, whatever they got to do, they're going to try to do it. AD, I don't know about his grit when that time comes, but when you got 2 guys like that, they're just going to go in the locker room. They're going to be like, I don't give a damn about nothing y'all talking about. Win the game. Win the game. That's it. We got a chance. Win it. And it could be dangerous. I'm pushing them out. I'm telling you, boy. Because think about it. You got 3 to 4 teams that have a chance if they lose, if they go on another skid, that are out of the play-in. You got play-in teams that don't want to play them. And you and those top teams want to get them out, because if they happen to win a play-in game, you kind of don't want to play them in the first round if they're healthy, because you don't know what you're going to get. So
that is a bad situation for Phoenix.
There's going to be a target on them. Like, imagine being a team down that much and still having a target on you. You know, it's the same way people play Brooklyn really heavy right now, right? They know they're hurt, but they don't go in there like, well, let's just get this one through. They kind of try to put them away because they want to slide Brooklyn on down that list. They're like, man, look, whatever we got to do not to be seeing y'all, put yourself in this situation. Take advantage of it.
And I think teams are going to be wise about that. And like you said, target on the back for the rest of the season. So, LeBron, you're going to have to show us some of your best basketball that we've seen out of your career. 37, 19th season, last 20 game stretch just to stay alive. This
Rumble,
is
young man, rumble.
This is the story. So, Double Tech fans, let us know. What do you think about the playoff race? What's going on in the East and West? What do you think the tier rank is looking like? Who do you think the top teams are? And who really has a chance to win the title, not just make it? We'll catch you next time. I'm Dave.
It's Q.